production sort of died down in Florida, and we were all left to say, oh gosh, what are we going to do now? None of us are going to have jobs. It's all freelance work. So that's when I, found theme park. And we started the entertainment division at Universal. So they needed some help for Halloween. I said, okay, I'll come over and play. And, it was fine. Halloween Horror Nights was fine, but it's just not my thing. I don't like horror. I don't want that. And so when I had the opportunity to join the creative group at Universal, I was so happy to finally get to dive into some of these, big feature film ideas being realized in the park. And I said, oh my God, yeah, this is what I want to do for sure. My background is interior design, so I was able to kind of use that and my film background to, help tell that story visually for Universal and all the windows and all the wonderful things you see there. So I sort of created my own niche within that because they didn't have buyers, decorators. It was art directors and designers, but there wasn't anybody to really make it happen. To go out and find those treasures, to go find those special, Harry Potter props that, because we didn't get everything from the films, so a lot of things had to be found, and I sort of find things at antique fairs and places all over the world that we would go shop, and I would let the items speak to me. They sort of would call from across the way, and I'd go, oh, we got to have that. We got to have that piece. I don't care what it costs. We got to have that. And it's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful trip. It wasn't the same as dressing a set because this was going to be permanent. So we had to make it lasting, and it was awesome to be able to go in and really tell the story and add things that you knew people were going to see. At some point, someone was going to notice a detail in one of the windows. And so I made sure every window I touched had that signature to it, meaning I went in and lived in there and said, okay, who owned this shop? What was their daily habits? Where did they hang their apron? Where did they hang their lantern, their keys? What time did they take tea? Did they wear glasses? All of these are details. And even Alan Gilmore, our art director, he said, okay, well, let's say there's a leak in the ceiling and it's stained the chair. Okay, let's do that. So we had a leak in the ceiling, stain on the chair. So there's a story to every little thing in the shop, and that was my favorite part, was like detailing out all of that. A lot of things, let's say like when we did Borgin and Burke's, that has so many unusual things in it. It wasn't really defined in the film. You could see some things, and we got a lot of things from the film, or we had to recreate with their exact molds that were used in the film. But there were a lot of things that were left undetermined, so we had to define it. That was at first a big scary thing. We did the first Harry Potter, we're like, oh my God, what's the Harry Potter style? It's very distinct. It's very hard at first to get the eye for it because you want to tie it to a particular time in history and it doesn't fit. It's sometimes the 1800s, it's sometimes the early 1900s, but then sometimes it's kind of modern day, and you had to figure it out. So that was the challenge, like in Borgin and Burke's, to be able to go in there and find these items that you said, this is a perfect fit. We would find weird, pointy, stabby things, like it could be utensils used in the kitchen, but it looked kind of torturous, and we said, oh, they got to have this. We'll hang it from the ceiling, and we did. I can't believe they let us do that, but it's still there. And, all these antiques, we would find some things we didn't even know what it was, We didn't have time to look it up, but we said, oh my God, this is weird, we got to have it. Our artists were also able to jump in and sort of interpret from what they knew of Potter, and we would guide them. But one guy was from Nottingham, England, and he remembered a pub that he used to go to. It was one of the oldest pubs in the UK, from the 1100s, supposedly. It's that old. And there was an old ship in there, a model ship that a sailor had made that was hung from the ceiling. And supposedly whenever anyone tried to dust it or touch it, like within a year they would die from some god-awful malady or whatever. So everyone was afraid to touch it. And eventually they put it in a glass case, and it's still in there. It's above the bar. And so he said, I want to recreate that for Borgin and Burke's. We said, okay, we got to do that. You know, anything that's weird or looks cursed. So he recreated that under glass. And it was awesome. I said, oh my God, it's like an exact duplicate of the one in the bar. There were certain windows and areas that I had a hand in directly, because I was literally mocking it up in our warehouse. And so I was the one choosing everything and making sure it all looked the way we needed it to look. So one of those was Diagon Alley's Mole Pepper's window. It's an average window. You're apothecary, where you know, like you do, you go, you get your herbs, you get your potion ingredients. But to match it to the film, there just wasn't anything you could buy that matched. I mean, everything in there was made by our artists and researched by me, like every ingredient that was listed that are in the books. And there's little, you know, placards, I think, we made there with the ingredient, but I had to look it up. I was like, what is that ingredient? What's it, you know, what would it be used for? And I had to find something that, you know, actually looked like that, or we had to fabricate it, so that was a real challenge. I enjoyed that. The other area was Gringotts. If you go into the queue line and you'll see Weasley's office, you see the big, there's a pre-show there before you go into the ride. And so I had to recreate what was Weasley's office, and from the furniture to how much it was aged to what would be on his coffee table. What is he in the middle of studying about? Maybe he just got back from a trip to Egypt, so he's got crates that are arriving, what's in them. All of those things had to be detailed out, so that was a lot of fun for me. That's what I enjoyed. Diagon Alley was a whole new level. We really took Potter to a whole new level, and we were able to own it. Hogsmeade was sort of us getting our feet wet in the Harry Potter world and being nervous about it, and what are they going to accept? Will they say this is okay? Did we get the style right? Diagon Alley, we were well into this style, and we were able to take that and just run with it and make it even better and even more detailed. It was like over 60,000 props. I think it's more like 100,000 props in Diagon Alley. There are that many. I mean, every little piece, has to be bought, has to be modified, has to be painted, and then installed. And oh my God, it was a lot more detail. I feel like we started something. We helped start that immersive environment. I mean, it's such an overused term now, but I think we really did help start that movement of being immersed completely in an environment that you could actually believe you're living there. Everywhere you look, you're not taken out of that story. And I'm still amazed that has happened and that we were able to be part of that. Part of the greatness of the whole thing coming together was seeing people's responses. And part of that was first getting to see the actors' response. From going to a set that wasn't a real location necessarily, and coming to our space, which was 3D, full-on buildings, everything. They could walk behind, they would even walk behind the walls and go, oh wow, this isn't a flat, it's not a set piece. And we're like, well no, it's a real building, And they were just fascinated, like, because they had been looking at the backs of sets for so long, you know. And here we had built the whole thing, and that you could, it was like live in ready. And the set decorator from the films, she's passed away since, but Stephanie, and she was in tears when she saw her create something she helped create come to life in that park. And that just made me cry. I was like, oh my God, don't cry, I'm gonna cry. That's your reward, you know. That's better than any awards we've won, which we have. We've won Thea awards as theme park, you know, entertainment-based type awards. But seeing the guests' response and knowing that you nailed it. I mean, these are hardcore fans. We had to take into account every little thing, every little detail, because we knew they were going to call us on something if it wasn't right, you know. And being from film and television, we knew we had to be right. We knew we had to be on point, and so we did it. They'd come in and they'd start crying. It's like, oh my God, this is great. We nailed it.